You have made history because we have all just come through the single biggest collective global behaviour change concentrated time ever in the history of the human race. Basically, billions of people had to change their behaviour consciously at about the same time. So lockdowns, wearing a mask, vaccinating, washing your hands, social distancing, staying at home. These are all conscious decisions and we all got through it. So give yourselves a round of applause right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Applause to the audience.
What are habits?
Geoff, if you'd like to give me that, I'll talk to you about habits. Habits are behaviours that have three very specific characteristics. Firstly, they're frequently performed. So I get up in the morning, I have a coffee. I go to work, I have another coffee. I see Geoff, I have another coffee. After lunch, I have another coffee. The second is they're context cued. That means the environment cues us into certain habits. So I get up in the morning, I go downstairs, I go to the kitchen, I have my 3 pills that get me through the day, and that's the context that cues me into that habit. The third thing, because of those two things, they become automatic.
It's extraordinary that they actually had that as an infographic on the site.
Look, we've got subscriptions to some incredible graphic design databases at Monash University, and this is what they give us.
We've come a long way.
The reason that habits exist is to free up our brain for stuff that we need to think about, right? What percentage of your life do you think is habits? The answer is 45%. Well done to the person who said 50, even though it's a bit of a fence-sitting answer. The thing about habits is they're really, really hard to start and they're really, really hard to stop. And part of the reason for that is that if you think back to the nose-picky thing, it's because they're baked into your brain. You don't even know you're doing them.
Right.
So how do you start or stop them? There are a couple of things you can do. Okay. The first is what we call a micro-intervention, which is like a reminder note.
Yeah.
So maybe someone gives you a physical nudge. Geoff, please put the remote control back where you found it. I'm tired of that habit, Geoff.
Can I ask my partner, do I have any habits that annoy you?
Jeff's real wife in the audience, Kat.
I can edit this out afterwards, it's fine. It's fine.
What we call the miso size fries. Workplace rules and regulations. So this is something that's not just in your immediate circle, it might be something that's in a sort of a wider group. So for example, at Monash University, during the height of the pandemic, you weren't allowed to go into the university unless you worked in a lab and you had to look after animals and chemicals and things. So people like us, not allowed to work. That's a meso level intervention. And then the macro, which is the ultimate upsize, what's the whole population doing? Basically, if you think about the things that make habits, repetition, context cues, automatic, you have to break all those things to break a habit, or you need to bake them in. And it takes a while. There are other ways of disrupting habits. One is to undertake a major life change. Let's say 10% of the audience have had some sort of major life change. And that's what we call habit discontinuity. Great way of breaking habits. You've got to learn where the shops are again. You've got to learn all that new stuff.
You might take up public transport if you're closer to work, if you've moved house.
But it's all because it's all been shaken up. Which brings us to the biggest font size I've ever used on a PowerPoint presentation, 72, COVID. So this is actually a pretty big moment in the history of behavioural science. As you said at the start, the whole world has had their habits discontinued at once.
Have you started a new habit due to COVID? So have you started shopping online? Have you been exercising at home or in local parks? Do you carry masks in every pocket of every garment?
You can answer more than once.
Yes, you can. Have you reduced your contact? Are you a less huggy or handshaky person? But new habits have started as a result of COVID. Working from home. A lot of us are now working from home because we have to, because that's the way our work has had to keep going. There's been tech changes where we're now used to QR coding our way into venues and shops and even offices like this. There's been big changes to what we show people. So this was a country that did not want an ID card, and we struggled with the idea that we would share our health record with the government. But we're used to showing strangers our vaccination record all day, every day. In fact, we have to get into buildings. So we're in this transitionary stage where the habits aren't settled in or they're reforming themselves as we go. Who had to do homeschooling? I just want to do a quick check. Okay, wow. Is it as bad as they say?
Yes.
What was the hardest? Was it fractions or maths or geography? Like, what was the worst bit?
Conflict.
Conflict.
Study that.
Personal conflict between you and the student, so to speak.
Correct.
Okay.
Getting kids out of bed on time to perform or attend classes.
Great. Did you have a teacher voice that you put on if you wanted them to?
Yes.
Is it like that voice you're using with me now?
Yes.
Okay.
That brings us to social norms. The unwritten rules that govern what we do. Now, a lot of what we do, we already know that 45% of it's just automatic.
Yes.
And the rest of it has a lot of influences on it that I'm going to describe now. So one of them is a thing called injunctive norms, the right thing to do, the rules, what people tell us to do. That's one influence on it.
So that's the classic, what would your mother think? That's the internal set of values and important people. Are you reflecting what you think is the right thing to do? Yeah.
Yes. And also the reason a lot of people wear clean undies every day.
Yes.
Because their mum says, if you have an accident.
If you have an accident,
Yeah.
you've got shame on the family.
Then there's what my people are doing, or as I would have said 10 years ago, what my peeps are doing.
Yeah.
But I'm turning 50 this year and it feels awkward.
There's a statute of limitations of hipster language you can't use.
Okay, so what my people, my group, my social circle are doing, that's called group norms. Then there's what everyone else is doing, which is descriptive norms, which is like what I was talking about, going to footy and all of that sort of thing. What the world around you is doing. You get on a tram, everyone's wearing a mask.
You get on the freeway, you're going a little bit faster because everyone's going a little bit faster. You're picking up on the descriptive norms of what everyone else is doing.
It's okay to do this because everyone else is doing it.
Exactly right.
And there's also another influence, which is the perceived consequences of what happens if I don't conform. Now, in some situations, pushing against the social norm is just like, yes, I'm going to wear my hair like this and I don't care what people say. With COVID, the consequences were potentially life-threatening, right? So if you didn't follow the rules and someone got COVID, particularly in the early variants, they could get very sick and they could even die.
There was also the idea that if you don't conform, you will push us back into lockdown. So there was this large group feeling of you must follow the rules, otherwise we don't get out of lockdown and we have to go back home again. So none of this is recorded. We just want people to kind of tell us the truth.
We're not judging.
Did you shop outside the 5K zone? Did you stockpile something? Okay, great. We'll delve into this.
You had symptoms when you didn't.
Yeah. Met friends or family accidentally somewhere. We complied, sort of, but the compliance began to kind of struggle a little bit as things went on and people began going, you know.
And we looked around at what people were saying, come on, we'll just meet at the park and it'll be fine.
We'll have a picnic.
When norms collide, things get awkward.
For instance,
the Prime Minister, no less, of our country looked down the barrel of the camera, do not stockpile toilet paper. It's un-Australian, I believe. He said
it was un-Australian. Yeah.
It's not the way we do things in Australia. However, our norm, when we went down the street and we saw the population norm, we went down to the shops and we saw, oh my God, all the toilet paper's gone. So when the norms collide, it gets
awkward.
Officially awkward.
And we get this dissonance between what we think we should do and what everyone else is doing.
So I'd like to introduce you and the audience for the first time to the Awkward-meter, a rigorously tested, validated measure of awkwardness on a scale of 1 to 5. I'll take you through it very quickly. We have trademarked it because we take our intellectual property very seriously and we're hoping to monetize this, so please don't tell anyone about it. So let's just take you through it very quickly. 1, not at all awkward. Not awkward at all. 2, might think about it for a bit. 3, I'm blushing a little. I'm feeling the awkwardness. 4, I'm actively sweating.
It's actually quite uncomfortable.
Yep, and 5 is like, the world can end now to end this terribly awkward moment. So that's 1 to 5, as I said, validated, tested.
And we're going to use you as a forum now. We're going to test this. So we're going to do a kind of a post-COVID handshake, and you can vote as to how awkward you find this.
See how this one goes. Hey, Geoff.
Do you want to?
No, you've got to. Do you want to do this one?
No. Do we?
Do
we fist of fist? Don't even go.
Okay, let's go with that.
Okay, you can.
So
vote
let's have
now.
a look on the Awkward-meter.
Post.
Oh, hello. We've got solid 3s drifting into 4.
Some people don't find it awkward at all.
Really? How much wine did they have in that? Yeah, okay. All right. You get home and your wife says, bad news, I've got COVID. and you say, listen, all right, let's start isolating now. Get into your bedroom. I'll bring some food up to you. Put a mask on for God's sake. And your wife says,
no, let's get it together.
So that we all have it. Some people don't think it's awkward at all, and some people think it's highly awkward. So that's interesting. We've got a few more. Merry Christmas, Grandma.
This was told to me as a real event. Someone drove 4 hours interstate to have Christmas. Grandma was inside, and they met at the front door, and the person who greeted them said, Peter, fantastic that you're here. We're all doing a rat test just before we see Grandma. Is that okay?
No, it's not okay. I've driven for 4 hours. I'm here to see Grandma. You're asking me to do a rat test? I'm your cousin. Geoff?
No, I've stopped in gobsmackedness just to see, because at the corner of my eyes, people go, nah, that's not awkward. I can tell you that in this particular instance, the people said, how dare you? It's not because of a vaccination, simply how dare you ask me to do something as a member of the family, and they turned around and drove home on Christmas Day. I don't know what next Christmas is going to be like, but it's tad awkward, I would have thought.
Okay. Home, sweet home.
Okay, this is a workplace scenario. Hey, great news, Pete.
What?
We're officially back in the office.
Oh, that's fantastic.
When are you coming back?
I think I'll come in on May the 28th and then maybe June the 24th. Like last Wednesday of every month.
1 day a month.
Yeah.
It's a middling kind of,
That's almost a normal distribution if you turned at 90 degrees. Okay, so Joshua is ready to go to his friend Oliver's birthday party, his best friend in the world. 7th birthday party, sleepover. He had a rat test yesterday. Today, he's got a runny nose. You're going to send him without doing the rat test.
How awkward is that? Do you actually send the kid who's been hanging out for this birthday party? We would say, or I would say, that most people usually go one of three ways. They either write it out, which is they awkwardly go, oh, no problem, we'll just go with this awkward situation, I won't kick up a stink at all.
Have a great time, bring some tissues.
The next one is bail out, which is find an excuse to sort of just avoid the situation. So they actually find a way of not dealing with the issue. And the other one is have it out, which is where they do confront the issue itself.
This is write it out, okay? Hi, Geoff.
Oh, hey,
this is
all right. Good to see you.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
where's the sanitizer? Okay, bail out. Geoff,
Oh,
nuts.
I've got to go over here.
That's just let's avoid altogether. And have it out, my personal favourite. Geoff, no one does that anymore.
I want you to shake my hand.
I'm
You
not
should
going to
my
shake your hand because we do it like this
That's
now.
weird.
It reduces
that is just
infection.
weird. What is wrong with you? So we are looking for an actual situation that we can actually role play and see on your instructions how we should make this work out. So what is an awkward COVID situation from the room right now?
You bump into someone, you're allowed to visit anyone's house, and they invite you into their house.
Oh, that's a perler. Okay, now Geoff's the actor and he made
Bump
me
into someone accidentally and they say,
Probably accidentally.
and they say, come on in.
Yeah.
Round of applause, come on. Let's do this. All right.
So well, this is the setup of the situation. Sorry, I'm Geoff, you are?
Jen.
Jen, okay. Jen, how are you?
Hi.
Hi, imagine meeting you here, accidentally.
I haven't seen anyone for ages.
I know. Hey, do you want to come in for a cup of tea?
I don't feel comfortable going into anyone's house right now.
Oh, no one has to know. No one has to know. I mean, we could just go, it's luck. Okay, so Jen, instead of making that awful sound, which we all make, by the way, it is the universal awkward sound, what should she say? What can she say to someone that is a friend? Yeah?
She's in a rush. She's
Great.
somewhere.
Classic bailout.
Classic bailout. Yeah.
All right, do you want to try it?
Hi,
Hi.
how are
I
you?
haven't seen you in ages.
Incredible, just accidentally. Hey, do you want to come in for a cup of tea?
Oh, actually, I've got a meeting to get to.
I would believe that 100%. That is just fantastic work. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is a have it out where you actually confront the person and say, this can't happen. So, hey, Jen, hi, how are you?
Hi, good, how are you?
Hey, do you want to come in for a cup of tea?
No, thank you, we're not allowed to do that.
I thought we were friends.
We are friends and I don't want either of us to get in trouble or to get sick.
I admire you even more as a person for saying that to me. Thank you. See? Thank you so much. Round of applause.
Somebody trying to hug you at the first get-together at work after lockdown.
Oh, I've actually got a few strategies in mind for this
Okay,
that
am I
I've actually
helping you?
tried. Now, you're the actor, so what's the most complicated part of the role?
It's up to you. If you've got some
You can be the resistor.
Okay.
All right? Okay. All right. Okay.
So what am I doing to begin with? Am I going along with this or just resisting? We're finding a way to
What scenario should we use?
Writing it out.
writing it out. Okay. All right.
Writing it out. Okay. Good. Geoff, May the 28th. Here I am at work.
Oh,
it's great to
isn't
see you. God, I miss you. I miss you so much. You know how it's been.
I feel a little dirty. Is that what happened? So someone?
Yes, I couldn't back quick enough.
Okay, we'll do it again.
Geoff! Hey! Oh, hello! Ow! That's good. Geoff, are you hugging? Are you a hugger?
Not really, not right now.
Okay, that's good. It's great to see you.
I'll just see you. What about air hug?
Sure.
That's even weirder. It's super hard, isn't it? When we actually, because if we know these people, we do have to break a lot of these norms in order to reinforce the idea that new rules have been invented. And now we're in this time when the rules are kind of crumbling a little bit and we're not exactly sure exactly what to do.
So when there's too many people in the lift and you're like breaking
Too many people in the lift.
Okay. I'm getting into the lift and the people in the lift don't want me to get into the
Okay,
lift.
so we're in the lift already, and
Okay.
Geoff's going to try and get in.
And there is no words in this scene, it is just purely body language. They will form a human barricade to stop me getting in.
The door's where the tape is,
Yeah,
Geoff.
yeah,
Here we
okay.
go. All right, so.
Okay.
Well,
I'm going to hold the door open just until one of us gets out.
that's having it out in a passive aggressive way.
Thank you.
Yes, okay, well done.
So, we have talked about habits, we've talked about norms, we've talked about the rules being established and breaking down again, and we are in this transition time where we are in the process of inventing what the rules are. I hope you've been able to understand a little bit more about habits and norms.
And the awkward-meter, I can already feel it taking off. I feel it's trending on Facebook.
Most people will say that's a 4.2 or a 5. So thank you very much. We do have behavioural scientists in the room, of course.
Put your hands up if you're a behavioural scientist.
Don't be shy.
Good.
So our Behaviour Works team are here, of course, if you want to talk to them. But otherwise, thank you so much. And if you are still on Facebook, wherever you are, thank you so much. And thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Geoff.